he comes, here he comes. There's the trumpets, there's the drums, here he comes. Hopalong Cassidy, here he comes.
In answer to an urgent message from my friend Jim Morgan, Red Connors and I had left our home range to report to his office in Phoenix, Arizona.
Come in. Glad to see you, Hoppy.
Hiya, Jim. You know Red Connors?
Yes, of course. How are you, Red?
Fine, fine.
Have a seat, huh?
Thank you very much. What's your problem here?
I want you to do a job for the government, Hoppy. A very, very tough one.
I'll do anything I can.
I was sure you would. That's why I sent for you. You know the Yellow Sands Desert pretty well, don't you?
Do we know it?
300 square miles of blistering sand and rock. Not a drop of water in the whole blasted place.
Right. And an ideal place for someone wanting to commit mass murder. Here's the story, Hoppy.
It wasn't a pretty story. 4 weeks ago, in the very heart of the Yellow Sands Desert, a prospector had come across the bodies of 6 men, all dead of thirst and robbed of their valuables. Investigation had proved that the dead men were aliens without the necessary papers to enter the United States.
And that's not the half of it. 10 days ago, a work party repairing a telegraph line came upon the bodies of 12 more men in exactly the same place.
All illegal entries, I suppose.
Yes, same pattern.
A man couldn't live out there in that heat without water. Why, it'd be a plumb fool to go out there without at least 3 canteens full.
There wasn't one canteen among them, Red. The tracks of 2 mounted men and a wagon backtracking to the border told us a fairly complete story.
I don't get it.
Well, it's pretty obvious, Red. There are thousands of people south of the border just waiting and willing to pay good money to get into the United States. Somebody's getting to them and promising to sneak them across the border.
That's exactly my theory, Hoppy.
I got it. They're taking these
Illegal.
Yeah, these people out in the desert and robbing them and leaving them there to die of thirst.
Ah, that's good reasoning, Red.
If we'd caught these aliens, we could have deported them. But our service doesn't condone murder. Hoppy, we want the people responsible brought to justice, but what few agents I have available are too well known to work undercover.
Well, I'll do my best.
Good. I'll deputize you and you'll be acting as my agent.
That's fine. Now, let me see here. If this is where the bodies were found, they must have brought them directly north across the border. That's about 3 miles west of the twin towns of Liontown and Mexizona, isn't it?
Yeah, just about.
Well, that's where we'll start.
Good. Good.
Right, and we'll keep in touch with you. So long. The twin towns are side by side, the one main street of Liontown becoming the main street of Mexizona at the border. And on the Mexizona side of the border was the headquarters of my friend Captain Marino, the Mexican rurales. I had told Captain Marino of my mission here on the border, and that since I was going to work undercover, I was going to let it be known that I was working on a survey for a railroad.
Do not fear me, amigo. I will keep your secret. But further than that, I can be of little assistance officially. We have law against the aliens crossing to your side of the border.
Oh, I know that. I guess I'll just have to catch the men I'm after in the act of taking somebody across the border. But so long as I'm starting from scratch, you know of anybody that might be a suspect?
Quien sabe? In these border towns, there are many men who would do anything for money. But this I can tell you. 3 nights ago, 8 Chinese who were working in the nearby mines disappeared without leaving a trace.
And I think I know where they can be found. Can you supply me with a pack horse and some water?
Certainly, Senor Cassidy.
This time, the border runners might leave a clue, something we can follow. We had started out late so we could cover as much of the desert as possible during the cooler hours. Three miles north of the border, we reached the southern edge of the Yellow Sands Desert. And we headed into the heart of it. Within an hour after sunrise, we were in the very heart of the desert. Somewhere out there, I was sure we would find what we were looking for. A few miles farther on, we reached the end of the trail. Scattered in the hot sands were the bodies of the Chinese. The hot sun and thirst had done their ruthless job. But one of them had tried to leave a message. Scrawled in the sand were some characters in the Chinese language. I copied the characters as carefully as I could.
What is it?
Chinese.
What does it say?
Read it.
Oh, Hoppy, you know I don't read Chinese so good.
You're better off than I am. I don't read it at all. Well, come on, let's water the horses and we'll rest a while.
Gosh, it's hot.
It sure is.
You could barbecue a buffalo without a fire. Imagine them poor guys out there, left without any water.
Yeah, somebody's gonna pay for that.
What do you suppose that Chinaman was trying to say when he wrote that stuff?
Oh, he's probably trying to tell us who is responsible. Maybe we can find out when we get back to the border in the morning. You dry?
Sure am.
We should have had some more water for those horses, too. Well, that's the story, Captain.
A grim one indeed.
You know anyone you can trust that can translate that for us?
Yes, Sing Lee. He's a laundryman. He speaks Spanish and is my friend.
Good. Would you see if you can find him for me?
At once. He says, white man with limp who speaks Chinese, betrayer. Gracias, Sing.
Well, that's very simple. Now all I have to do is find a lame white man who can speak Chinese.
You have my sympathy, mi amigo. A man of that description is not here in Arizona.
Well, I guess all we can do is go across the border to Linetown and see what we can find there. Thank you very much, Captain.
Hasta la vista.
The post office seemed the best place to begin asking a few judicious questions.
There's a restaurant just across the street.
Are you hungry again?
I'm starving.
We just ate out on the trail.
But that was 3 hours ago. Takes a lot of grub to keep me going.
All right, you go over to the restaurant and get something to eat while I talk to the postmaster. Hey, wait a minute. Who does that look like over there? The man talking to the window washer.
Why, that's Cal Foster. That couldn't be him. He's still doing time for that job he did up our way.
Maybe he got off for good behavior.
Good behavior, that guy? Hey, maybe he's our man.
No, it couldn't be. He doesn't limp. Not if he speaks Chinese. He had to learn it in prison. I wonder what he's doing here.
3 o'clock at my place. If you're looking for trouble, Cassidy, come and get it.
Hold it, Red. Take it easy, Foster. Put up your gun.
Look, I served my time, Cassidy, so if you follow me down...
I said take it easy and put that gun away. As far as I'm concerned, you've paid your debt to the law.
Oh? What are you doing here?
I'm here on business. The Arizona and Eastern Railroad's putting a spur line down through here. I'm just waiting for the surveyors to get in. I'm going to act as their guide.
Well, it doesn't make any difference what you're doing here. Remember this. If we ever lock horns again, there'll be a little different ending than it was the last time.
Is that a threat?
And a promise.
I'll try and remember that.
Mr. Cassidy, sir. Mr. Cassidy, I heard him call you by name, and I heard what was said. I feel I must warn you. He's a base, ignoble man, with the danger of the cobra of India, and as free of moral values as the jungle savage.
Hey, what kind of talk is this?
Evidently, we're not only speaking to an educated gentleman, but to one who knows Mr. Foster pretty well.
Oh, I've known him for only a short time, sir, and only through having done odd jobs for him. But I know him for the individual that he is, a bitter man with a heart full of hatred for all humanity.
You sure got a lot of words. Say, how come a man that can talk like you do has to wash windows and such stuff?
A fair question, sir. You see in me the result of circumstance. I, Wilberforce Lawrence Edgemont, once a world traveler, a man of position and means, a college professor, forced through the uses of adversity and liquor to earn my meager food and lodgings by doing odd jobs.
Gee, that's tough. Here's a couple of dollars I can spare. You take it.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. This is a small fortune to me. And now, if you good gentlemen will excuse me, I'll go into the restaurant for a meal. A far better one, I assure you, than would have been my stipend for having washed its windows. If you have any need of my services for an odd job, just feel free to call upon the professor.
We shall do that, Professor.
Poor feller.
You'll never learn, will you? That was the neatest piece of panhandling I've ever seen in my... Hey, you see what I do?
I don't see nothing.
He's got a limp.
Hey.
Hey, this may be only a coincidence, but I want you to stay here in town and watch every move he makes.
Where you going?
I'm going over and see Captain Marino. I want to get some information. Keep your eye on him. Hi, Captain. I hate to make a nuisance out of myself, but I need some information.
You never could be a nuisance to me, senor. Sit down. What is it you wish?
I know you're trying to find out as much as you can about strangers that settle here in this community. What do you know about this Cal Foster?
He was released about 4 months ago from the New Mexico State Prison. He has a small ranch 5 miles south of here where he buys and ships hides. Among us, he has given no trouble.
And the man who calls himself the Professor?
There is little to tell about him except what he himself says. He is obviously what you call a drifter. He came to Linetown about 3 months ago. In his spare time, he collects rocks and plants on one side of the border as well as the other. He's supposed to be a little loco.
Yeah. This might be only a hunch, but I wish you'd send a telegram for me through your headquarters in Juarez.
Gladly. Write it out.
The telegram I wrote was to the warden of the New Mexico State Prison. I wanted to know if the professor had spent any time in prison while Cal Foster was there. An hour later, there was an answer.
Gracias. Very interesting.
Wilberforce Lawrence Edgemont, alias the Professor, was a cellmate of Cal Foster while serving 2 years on a fraud charge. Edgemont has a long prison record both in the U.S. and abroad. He was released from here 3 months ago. Well, now all I have to do is find out if the Professor speaks Chinese. And until I can prove it, we might be able to stop some of these murders.
What can I do?
I want you to stake out some of your men at Foster's place every night, from sundown to sunrise. If they see anything suspicious, have them get in touch with me. I'll be at the hotel in Linetown.
I'll do as you wish. Adios, amigo.
Thank you, and thanks for the coffee.
across the border and headed south on the road.
I'll make a bet he's on his way to Foster's place. We better follow him. Come on. A short distance south of Mexizona, we caught sight of the professor. Keeping out of sight ourselves, we trailed him to a small ranch house just off the road. You stay here and watch the horses. I'm going over there and see if I can find out what's going on.
These gentlemen have heard of us. They are anxious to be smuggled across the border to San Francisco. I've told them we have the means of doing exactly that. For a consideration, of course. 5,000 Mexican dollars now, and 5 more when they're safely delivered. They've agreed to our terms.
Well, you don't have a thing to worry about.
你要钱从而代付? I'll do the dividing later when we have it all. You can take the boys into the back room, and after dark, we'll deliver them across the border as usual, under a load of hides.
Red, I'm going to stick here until dark. You take my credentials and go to the postmaster in Liontown. Tell him to get a posse together.
Get him up, mister.
I wanted to warn you, Hoppy, but they said they'd kill you if I made a sound.
I thought there was something wrong when I saw you prowling around the house. The professor won't have a talk with you. Come on, get moving. Come on.
This proves my wisdom in having lookouts posted whenever we're expecting clients. So, Mr. Cassidy, now you're an officer in the Immigration Service.
Cassidy, I've been waiting a long time to meet you on even terms.
What do you mean, even terms? Hoppy went after you and your 2 cattle thieving pals single-handed. Brought them all 3 in.
You keep out of here, loudmouth. Cassidy, I'm going to kill you for that.
Hold it, Foster. I'm still chief around here.
What do you mean, hold it? He knows too much. You got to get rid of him anyway.
Agreed. But sometimes I'm amazed at your lack of reasoning power. The Immigration Service is bound to start a search as soon as Cassidy fails to report. If his body is found on this side of the border, it means an international investigation. Then what happens to our lucrative business? Grimes, you and Felton tie him to a chair.
What plans do you have in getting rid of him?
Simple. Tonight, 2 wagons loaded with hides will cross the border and go into the Yellow Sands Desert.
So we're going to have guests, huh?
Well, it's almost time to start moving out. Come on, all of you. We'll load the other wagon.
We're going to have a nice long ride, Cassidy.
How you coming with your ropes? Not making any headway yet.
keep trying.
Manuel! We're going to use your wagon, too, so load your hides back on.
No use, Hoppy. These knots will hold till doomsday.
I'm afraid so. The Chinese in their thirst had given me the one chance in a million. They had been brought here by a Mexican, so I felt sure they must understand a little Spanish.
Senor Chino, yo amigo, ¿sabe?
Sí, yo comprendo, amigo.
Los otros hombres, enemigos.
I tried to explain that the other men were his enemies. They meant to kill them, but he kept insisting they were his friends.
You and Felton get Cassidy and Connors. We'll load them in the wagon in the barn before we load the Chinese into Manuel's wagon.
Right.
Time was running out. There was only one chance left. I told the Chinese to take the notebook from my breast pocket and look at the characters I had copied from the scrawled message in the sand.
Phải lo. Lại cậu lũ phán sọ ngồi đi. Enemigos.
Yeah, you're darn tootin' they're enemigos.
Líbrame, pronto. How you doing, Red?
Having a time of my life!
Take care of these two. I'll go after Foster.
Go see what's keeping Grimes.
Hang on, Senor Hoppy. We're with you.
I surrender to you, Captain Marino.
I think these two Chinese have learned a lesson without any further punishment, don't you?
Yeah, besides, they saved their lives.
I was in the back where they came from, with an escort.
Yours is a hollow victory, Cassidy. Under Mexican law, you cannot force me to accompany you across the border. So I shall plead guilty of having fired upon a rurale. A 2-year sentence at the most.
It is as he says, Senor Hoppy.
Yeah, I know. But there's no law against you escorting him to the border and booting him across as an undesirable, is there?
You're right. Let us depart for the border and proceed with the booting.
Hey, just a minute.
What are you doing, Red?
I'm getting back that $2 I gave this joker in Liontown. There. Now you may depart for the border and proceed with the booting.
Hi there. You know there are certain laws that are made to protect all of us, but we must do something to help about that protection. Oh, here's a thought that might help prevent an accident. Help other people protect you. Now, to make it a little easier for you to remember those words, the first letter of each of those words spell the name of a man who thinks you're pretty wonderful and who doesn't want you to be hurt. So till next week, so long. In the meantime, be careful, won't you?
There he goes on his way down the moonlit trail to where cowboys race. Hopalong Cassidy, Hopalong Cassidy, he'll return soon again. There's no use to say goodbye until then.